So I asked John Kemp, I said, John, we need some expert advice on when to begin sap testing. And several people have come up to me and said, you know, I've got grapes or I've got the raspberries, when do we begin? And he said, the first mature leaf is what we would indicate you can begin sap testing then, and you would only sample one leaf. I mean, this is the new leaf. We won't have a comparison. So you want to explain that, Eric, how we do that then?
Yeah, the first sample, since we're sampling kind of the whole season long, we'll take as soon as that first leaf is fully developed, we'll take that and submit that sample as an old leaf and just no young leaf with it. That way when the graphing software kicks in, it'll track properly through the various samples of the season.
So could you explain what they mean by graphing, or what you mean by that?
The sap testing company has a software that lets the user or the consultant plot the sap testing data over time, and they're kind of rigid in how they allow samples to be input into the system. So if we set it up properly at the beginning, it makes things a lot easier to track. But at the end of the day, or at the end of the season, you can get a plot showing calcium, for example, and how it tracks in the sap for the new leaves and the old leaves on separate lines, and kind of judge how it fluctuated over the season. It can be a useful planning tool for the subsequent years, and it can show you sort of local problems when it happens. But we can talk about that individually if that's something you're interested in.
So why don't you go through a procedure though? So let's say you've signed up now with Agro-K. You want to do 6 sap tests during the season, and you give us your name and address and all your information, and we send that into, who are you sending it to? Crop Health Labs. And then they will send you this barcode with your name and plastic bags for old leaf, new leaf sample. Do they label on there?
They send you a stack of labels, so you can you apply the labels to the plastic bags. But
is it old, new, or no?
Yep, it's old, young, or old, young and old, basically. And after the initial sample, which we'll submit as an old leaf, you'll submit a package of older leaves and a package of younger leaves. I'll show you a picture here. This is a strawberry plant sampling guide, and they have these guides for every crop that we'd be dealing with. And an old mature trifoliate leaf there, we'd be taking the middle leaf right at the base of the leaf. We don't need any petioles with these tests. And here would be an example of a young, fully developed leaf that we'd submit for the young sample. They've shown some examples of too young, you want representative leaves. So if you have a diseased leaf or a damaged leaf in this series of tests, we want sort of representative leaves. This is a young, developed leaf. We could take that one, and an older, healthy one. If you have a lot of damage on a leaf, you'd probably look for a different sample to submit, just because.
And how many leaves?
They asked for 2/10 of a pound of leaf material. Easy to get on a tomato, but kind of a long process to collect that much strawberry leaves. I end up with a stack about 2 inches high of large leaf strawberry leaves.
So that stack is considered a set?
That would be all placed in one bag, and that's considered either the young sample or the old sample. So it explains the procedure in these guides. They're taking the center, and the same with tomatoes. You don't take the whole multiple leafed thing. You'll take the terminal leaf on the tomato sample.
So if someone wanted to do strawberry leaves, Gary, could we link them to this, or?
We can print this out, or we can send them the file.
Okay.
They may send them to you with the labels. We'll see how
Do we
they.
have to put any moisture in there to keep from dehydrating? Or-
No, in fact, we want to squeeze out all the moisture we can. Don't crush the leaves, but just squeeze the air out. Seal the bags up. We don't want any extra air or, in fact, if the leaves are wet when you collect them,
They're gonna mold probably.
we want them blotted dry. We don't want them scrubbed dry. We don't want them air dried. That'll change the sap concentration. Just blot them dry, get them surface dry, put them in the bags, and then get them cold. We'll store them in the cooler or in the fridge till you're ready to get them in the mail, or FedEx in this case. And we'll, after we've, and don't put any paper inside the plastic bag. It just should be something, anything that's not going to desiccate those leaf samples. And we'll take those individual bagged samples. They're like in zip top sandwich bags. And then these insulated bags you can get at any big box store like a Target. They're usually found at the end of the freezer sections, hanging on a rack or something, $1 to $3. We'll put the individual bags inside these insulated bags, and then I just have on hand some juice pouches that I keep frozen. Something like this, whatever's cheap. I don't know what they do with them, if they give them to their kids in Ohio or what, but those make handy freezer packs. Just freeze them, put a couple in a paper bag, put them with the leaf samples. It's good if they're in paper, so you don't have ice actually touching the leaves. You could sometimes damage the leaf material if it's extremely cold. Fold that up, and if you're shipping by FedEx, you can get quite a few samples in a large box like this. Fold it once, slide it in, and if it's loose, you can stuff some newspaper or something to keep it from.
So what's the logistics here? When does the Ohio lab need to receive these, or
They ship twice a week, and so we need to have our samples overnighted or in the mail for overnight delivery the day before. I guess it's Monday and Wednesday are our options. Monday and Thursday, sorry. And they need it by the morning of the following day so that they can repackage and process them and get them in a box shipped to the Netherlands. If you have an account with FedEx, it's some discount, and that's usually the easiest. You may even need to have someone come out and pick up the samples. But keep them cold, take them before 9 o'clock in the morning, and if they're wet, blot them dry, surface dry, and then seal up the bags well so that they're not leaking and desiccating during journey.
And what about handling leaves? Do you have to wear
I don't generally wear gloves. I sometimes will, but the materials on the surface of the leaf don't affect the test as much as they would on a tissue sample. So a drop of sweat falling on the leaf sample isn't going to skew the salt numbers. They're taking the sap from inside the leaf. Within reason, some dust and things like that is not going to impact your sample.
Can the sample be physically dropped off at your Fridley warehouse?
Larry, he's asking if they can drop off
We have
samples.
FedEx going out of there all the time, but it would have to be there before 4:30. We close at 4:30, and the people that would drop it at FedEx for you, if you get it to us on that Thursday before, then we can do that, no problem.
But still delivered in a FedEx box.
Yes, it should be all ready to go, and then you'll get that information as to where you would send it. But
What town in Ohio are they in?
Is it Belleville? Belleville?
Oh, you're in Belleville?
Yes.
I'll just drive down there.
That works too, I imagine. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have to isolate that ice bag from the?
I like to take a paper bag, put the ice in the paper bag, roll it up, and stick it in with the loose samples in this cooler bag, just to keep the ice from burning or freezing little bits of the leaf or whatever. So we have in the past tried to fit too many samples in a bag, ended up crushing some of the leaf samples. So I like to stack the leaves as much as I can. Tomatoes you sometimes have to fold, but I like to stack the leaves so they're not just crushed together, because the more you break those cells, the more chance that they're going to dry out, change the sap concentrations.
How
Yep.
many leaves per Ziploc bag?
I have been able to fit enough leaves in their bags, but sometimes it's a tight fit.
Okay, so I go around the vineyard and I take several
Right. The-
young leaves and put them in one bag,
Correct.
and several older leaves and put them in one bag.
Correct. And they'll give sample guide, in the sample guide they describe how much leaf material, and it's easy, like something like grape leaves have nice big leaf, but blueberries, it takes a long time to get enough leaf material to.
So what reason we're spending so much time on this, we want you to understand that this is no quick go out and pull 25 leaves and throw them in a bag. There is, we have to get good information back, we have to follow their procedure, you see, and use the pre-labeled and keep the tissue cool so we don't get it degrading before, so we get a good accurate read. So you have to be very intentional. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but we are going to be doing it, and we're happy to work with you and help you do it. And Eric has been sampling for growers and helping them, and he's got first-hand experience, right, Eric?
Yeah.
First-hand experience on how to do it. So
Yeah.
he's available to answer questions, and Mr. Fred.
We've got 4 varieties of blackberries, so we need to take 2 sample bags from each 4 varieties. Is it representative of the species?
Well,
As John had said earlier this morning, it depends on if you're sampling every variety, then you'll get a label for each pair of young and old samples.
or if you have a problem variety, you want to understand what's going on in that variety, you focus on that variety. Or if you have a very good variety that's performing well, and you want to understand what's happening there. So I think, if you want to talk about which way to go, if you don't want to sample all 4 varieties, because it will be expensive, but it is, it's up to you really. Where do you need the information? What will help you in terms of your productivity and improving quality and understanding that plant? Is it the troubling variety that you are frustrated with, or is it the high-performing variety that you want to kick up to another level? So, Don.
Could we use, you're talking about FedEx overnight type thing, and those that live out in the country, that gets to be a little difficult to make happen. Can you send it like priority mail through the post office, which might take 2 days to get there, or do you have to go express mail with the post office, or?
The post office is no longer guaranteeing overnight, is that right?
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. So your U.S. Post Service is not reliable. You're gonna have to use FedEx or
UPS is an option. Yeah. Speedy, if you live in, do they do overnight? Speedy?
yes.
If in the area they serve, I guess.
If they don't go to.
They don't go to Ohio, of course.
Oh, that's.
They're Wisconsin, Illinois, and Miss.
I got you.
They do the 5-state area, but yeah.
One other option is a 2-day FedEx, that with the proper equipment that should be,
2-day FedEx.
that is
Yeah.
like in a rural area, metro area, where they can't
Yeah.
guarantee, or at least it's really expensive,
Yeah.
$70 for overnight.
If you're planning on sending samples out in the later part of the week, and they send out samples twice during the week, You could package samples up well enough probably to get away with a 2-day delivery is what he's saying, as long as Ohio gets them on, is it Thursday?
10:30.
By the morning on
By
Thursday.
noon, actually, but the FedEx gives you a 10:30 option or an afternoon option.
You
So
could
it
do
has-
it that way.
So it has to be there on Monday.
It has to be there
Monday
Thursday
or
morning.
Thursday.
It has to be there Tuesday morning or Thursday morning.
Tuesday okay.
So,
So we'd have to ship it out Tuesday or Wednesday.
correct. For overnight, yeah.
All right.
Ship it out Wednesday to Friday. You can't ship it out Monday for 2 days.
Right, right. He was saying you can't ship, obviously, on Monday
Ship on
with a 2-day delivery and get it out on the first plane out to the Netherlands. They go in the second lot. The longer it sits in the truck or in the warehouse, the more chances are for the leaves to degrade. Yep.
You want to sign up today or call you back when you know?
Yeah, if you're definitely interested, you can email me, and we'll definitely get you on the list. And if you know approximately how many samples you want, you know, that would be, I need to know, yes, I want to participate, and number 2, I'm going to run 6 tests or 8 tests, or how many you want to do.
How far into the fall do you
Well, I don't know how, he said a complete season, so you would do it at least until after fruit has been harvested, and wherever that extended to. But you heard Mr. John Kemp talk about the most important time to feed your plants, didn't you? In the fall, right? I love that message. I really love that message. I mean, we've been preaching it, but we had the little Amish guy up here with the straw hat. He was the one that got that home to you, I hope. That fall feeding program, whether you have a spring frost, our experience has been people who have fed their plants well in the fall and put them to sleep well fed, they handle that spring frost stress so much better than I didn't do anything. I put the sprayer away and we're done, you know. And then those vines struggle or those plants struggle in the spring. So that fall feeding, I just really appreciate his emphasis on that. We have seen that. I want to also, I guess, what are we doing now?
I was going to ask you the same thing. Speaking of, this is a grape sampling guide.
Yes, good.
2/10 of a pound, 8 ounces or 100 grams. You're looking at enough material to fill a 16-ounce bottle halfway, basically. So we sometimes sample buds. It doesn't translate into leaf material very easily. So 2/10 of a pound, 8 ounces. Liquid ounces or cubic ounces, or 100 grams of material.
So once you get a full canopy, it's not a problem. But when those first issues are going to be, I'm really will be a little more difficult.